read what was revealed to me about Babylon's destruction in Revelation chapter 18, verses 21 through 24, as translated into the New King James Version. Rev 18, 21 to 22, New King James Version of Scripture. Verse 21, Then a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and threw it into the sea, saying, Thus with violence the great city Babylon shall be thrown down and shall not be found any more. Verse 22, The sound of harpists, musicians, flutists, and trumpeters shall not be heard in you anymore. No craftsman of any craft shall be found in you anymore, and the sound of a millstone shall not be heard in you anymore. Verse 23, The light of a lamp shall not shine in you anymore, and the voice of bridegroom and bride shall not be heard in you anymore. For your merchants were the great men of the earth, for by your sorcery all the nations were deceived. Verse 24, And in her was found the blood of prophets and saints, and of all who were slain on the earth.
Leaving John now in the early 1st century AD, we move forward in time to the 17th century, the latter part of the 17th century, to listen to commentaries by Adam Clarke and Matthew Henry.
By way of introduction, my name is Adam Clarke. I am an Irish writer and biblical scholar. As a writer and biblical scholar, I wrote several papers, which were published, which are considered influential Bible commentaries. Additionally, as Methodist theologian who served 3 times as president of the Wesleyan Methodist Conference, British, 1806-07, 1814-15, and 1822-23, and of the Irish Conference, 1811, 1812, 1816, 1822. The following is a summary of my thoughts on Revelation chapter 18 and verse 20. This is grand and sublime. The fall of this bad city was cause of grief to bad men. But as this city was a persecutor of the godly and an enemy to the works of God, angels, apostles, and prophets are called to rejoice over her fall.
I would like to add, that which is matter of rejoicing to the servants of God on earth is matter of rejoicing to the angels in heaven. The apostles, who are honored and daily worshipped at Rome in an idolatrous manner, will rejoice in her fall. The fall of Babylon was an act of God's justice. I invite you to read my full commentary on Revelation 18, found on blueletterbible.com.
My comments on Revelation 18, verse 20. The fall of Babylon is the removal of one vast hindrance to holiness. It has been argued that the verse represents the apostles being in heaven, and from this it may be inferred by some that the 12 must have all died before the apocalypse was written, and, if so, John was not the writer. The verse, however, has no reference whatever to the question. However, Revelation 1.1 clearly states the angel gave the scroll to John. This verse should be taken literally to mean it as a simply summons to all who have fought on the side of their Lord, to rejoice at removing one of the great obstacles to the manifestation of Christ's kingdom.
In summary, Revelation 18 verse 20 emphasizes the joy and vindication experienced by God's people as Babylon, the symbol of evil and opposition, falls. This verse reassures believers that God's justice prevails and their suffering and persecution will not go unnoticed. Let us begin by reading, once again, Revelation 18 verse 21 as transcribed into the New King James Version Bible. Quote, Then a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and threw it into the sea, saying, Thus with violence the great city Babylon shall be thrown down, and shall not be found any more. We will now see what our commentators say in verse 21.
My comments on Revelation 18, verse 21. I focus on the vivid picture of the millstone and the sea. Throwing the stone into the sea signifies Babylon's complete and irreversible destruction. This symbolizes that Babylon will be utterly removed from existence, never to be rebuilt or remembered. I connect this verse to the broader context of Revelation, where Babylon represents the culmination of human opposition to God's kingdom. The following scripture references support my interpretation. Isaiah 21:9 NKJV. I quote, "And he said, Babylon is fallen, and all the graven images of her gods he has broken to the ground."
In this powerful act, I witnessed the symbol of God's judgment. The great stone represents the heavy burden of Babylon's sins and the certainty of its downfall. This vivid imagery is a stark warning to all who oppose God's will. The fall of Babylon is not just a historical event, but a divine retribution, emphasizing that no power can withstand the judgment of the Almighty. I offer Jeremiah 51 verse 6, and I quote, "Flee out of the midst of Babylon, and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity, for this is the time of the Lord's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense."
My thoughts. Guzik and Clark agree on Babylon's complete and irreversible destruction, symbolized by the cessation of music and crafts. They connect this verse to the broader theme of divine judgment and use similar references from the Old Testament to support their interpretations. Isaiah 21:9 and Jeremiah 51:6. The following verse, Revelation 14:8, supports the absolute destruction of Babylon, a city of evil. I quote Revelation 18, verse 8, NJKV. Then a second angel followed and said, "Fallen, fallen is Babylon the Great, who has made all the nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication." Have you ever wondered why the word fallen is written twice?
Revelation 18 verse 22, NKJ 22. "The sound of harpists, musicians, flutists, and trumpeters shall not be heard in you any more. No craftsman of any craft shall be found in you any more, and the sound of a millstone shall not be heard in you any more."
My commentary summary of Revelation 18 verse 22 is as follows. The silence of harpists, musicians, and craftsmen symbolizes the end of all forms of entertainment and labor in Babylon. Connecting this to the broader theme of judgment and the cessation of all activities associated with Babylon's sinful lifestyle. For a more extensive full commentary, visit blueletterbible.com and christianity.com.
Matthew Henry points to Babylon's destruction because of its sin. While I agree with him on cause and effect, I see the absence of music and craftsmanship in Babylon as representing the complete cessation of all forms of joy and industry, a fulfillment of earlier prophecies, and a sign of the final divine judgment upon Babylon.
In comparing different commentaries, we can hope to get a better overall understanding of the verse studied. Matthew Henry and Dave Guzik focus on the broader theme of judgment, with Matthew connecting it to the cessation of sinful activities and Guzik seeing it as a fulfillment of prophecies. These commentators agree that the cessation of music, crafts, and daily activities symbolizes the end of joy and industry in Babylon. Overall, while each commentator highlights different aspects of the verse, they all converge on the idea of Babylon's complete and total destruction due to divine judgment.
Revelation 18, verse 23 in the NKJV, quote, "The light of a lamp shall not shine in you any more, and the voice of bridegroom and bride shall not be heard in you any more. For your merchants were the great men of the earth, for by your sorcery all the nations were deceived." I emphasize Babylon's complete and utter desolation. This verse highlights the end of all joy and normalcy in Babylon, which is symbolized by the extinguishing of the lamp and the silencing of the bridegroom's and bride's voices, signifying the total collapse of Babylon's society and culture. The merchants of Babylon, who were once the great men of the earth, are now revealed to have deceived the nations through their sorcery, leading to widespread corruption.
I think the moral and spiritual corruption of Babylon bears stressing, the warning against the temptations of wealth and false teachings, the seductive power of Babylon's riches and the deceptive practices that led nations astray. the importance of remaining faithful to God and avoiding the allure of worldly wealth and false doctrines. I offer the following references in support of my commentary. 1 John 2:15 and 16, The World's Temptations. Matthew 6:24, No one can serve two masters.
In my commentary on Revelation 18:23, I emphasize Babylon's complete and utter desolation. The verse highlights the end of all joy and normalcy in Babylon, symbolized by the extinguishing of the lamp and the silencing of the bridegroom's and bride's voices. This signifies the total collapse of Babylon's society and culture. The merchants of Babylon, who were once the great men of the earth, are now revealed to have deceived the nations through their sorcery. This deception led to widespread corruption and moral decay. Babylon's fall is a divine judgment against its greed, idolatry, and exploitation. In comparing commentaries by Dave Guzik and E.M. Bounds, I find they both agreed about the complete desolation of Babylon and its societal decay. The last verse of Revelation 18, and in her was found the blood of prophets and saints, and of all who were slain on the earth. In this verse, the blood of all the saints and prophets were the results of the same corruption that was found in Babylon.
Please join us each and every Sunday at 9:30 a.m. for our forum. I'll see you at Fellowship Bible Church, Middleburg, Florida, this Sunday, hopefully, at 9:30 a.m. Until then, God bless.